Once
All
they're
right,
approved, they're public documents,
got
so,
it. Okay, well then I'll start working on transferring those over and have those ready in the next few days then. I'll just go ahead and start working on that now,
okay, awesome.
starting with this meeting, so.
All right, we got Rebecca. Mark finished his paid
Mark's
job.
on. Yep, still wearing my Raytheon shirt here.
I told him, I said, you're actually working, you're doing your work instead of me forcing you to your volunteer HOA work.
Yeah, I was trying to rush him along, but giving him fortunately in corporate world, when it hits, the top of the hour, everybody's got another meeting to get to, and there's people on the other coast. So, anyway, we can kick it off. Do we have a quorum now, Patty?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, now we do.
Let's see, we got,
April, John.
here we got John Lovingood, April's on, Rebecca's,
Yep.
and then full citizens, and we got our manager. All right, let's go. All right, Patty, call to order. We have the quorum. I have no comments to begin. We're just going to start writing with the AC for the fitness room.
Yes, please. So I've been back and forth checking different companies. I spoke to Kevin quite a bit about this.
Mhm.
And honestly, we're better off purchasing a new unit for the gym.
Yes.
And Florida Cool Today is actually offering a great deal for $11,683. It comes with it's a York commercial unit, option A, and it's a 10-year parts and 10-year compressor warranty.
Mm.
Which I confirmed with him because I went back and forth, and Kevin and I were talking back and forth because Kevin knows about ACs. So he was like, "You sure that's 10 years?" And so I went back and I asked the gentleman, and he confirmed it in writing. He says, "We're getting even though it's a commercial unit, we're getting the what do you call it? The residential warranty."
Great.
So, and with them, and the next page, I also asked them to give us a maintenance contract, which we've always had on all the other units over time. And that was
So
always with me and James.
hey, Patty, I see a couple different quotes that we got. So we got one from Merrill James. Is that the one you're talking about right now?
No, Marlon James is the company that we've used for the last couple of years.
Okay.
So the first one for 355010 is that's just to repair the unit.
Okay. So 3510 to repair. And then Marlon James gave us a quote of 9,368 to replace with a 1-year parts, 5-year compressor warranty with a 5-ton unit.
Right.
And then Florida Cool Today is the one for 11,683. Is this the one with the 10 year parts, 10-year compressor?
Yep.
Okay, that's Cool Today. And then that's it. I see all their different schedules. Another call here. Who's calling? I think Jason to dial in.
Okay.
All right, give me 1 second here. I'm going to copy and paste the link and text it to him.
Okay.
Sorry, all.
Not a problem.
There's also another way too within Zoom on the top left. There's a green shield check mark. If you click that, you can copy the link and send it as well.
Got it. Yeah, I just sent it to him.
Yep.
That should get him. All right. All right. So yeah. So you say you called 5 companies or more than that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. 5 different companies, and you got 3 quotes. One's for the repair, and then 2 replacements.
Yes. Well, no, there's 2 repair and 2 replacements.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with the replacing the unit, and I like the 10-year warranty.
Mhm.
That's where I stand. Anybody else have comments?
Yeah, I was going to suggest the same thing. A 10-year warranty is on parts and the compressor is pretty hard to beat, I think. So
Exactly. So Mark makes the motion.
So that's to go with Cool Today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
What kind of? It's a train, right? Is that the brand?
No, this one's actually a
York.
which is all the same parts as train.
And Patty, on the, so the second quote from Cool Today for the 4576.50, is that's the replacement, but you said you got a quote also for the maintenance?
Yes, so that's
So-
just a little bit further.
Okay, I think I missed that when I was reading through. I didn't realize
Okay,
it was in
that,
addition to, okay.
yeah, it has the highlighted yellow. Can you see?
Yeah. Mhm.
Which that is actually at $500 cheaper than the contract that we've had with Marlon James for the last
Well,
2 years.
that sounds like a no-brainer.
Mhm. Exactly, and that's covering all 6 units. Because
Do
we have,
we, have we
Go ahead.
done any, just a quick review of that company, just to make sure, like,
The-
I'm totally all for it. I just want to make sure we don't get a company that sucks. That's all.
exactly, no, and actually, we used them last year when I didn't know that we had a contract with Marlon James. Maintenance contract, and they came out and they were extremely thorough and, just very knowledgeable. And they were actually recommended by Kevin. Kevin's used them and he knows the company well.
And that's
Mm.
the 14 SEER option A, right?
Awesome.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, the 14.5 SEER. Mhm.
Patty,
So I guess-
for the contract that we have with Marlon James, do we have a certain term with them that we're gonna need to pay through, and would this overlap with that?
It expires actually March,
Okay,
so it's perfect timing.
okay, good. Well, I would make the motion to move forward with purchasing the new unit, using Cool Today with the York air conditioner with the 10-year warranty.
For the 11.
I second.
Thank you.
And given that the maintenance contract is $500 cheaper, I would suggest that we also, or recommend that we also move forward with that.
April, you still second that?
Sorry, turning into my house. Yes, second to all of the above, and a lucky stroke of timing.
Great.
Patty, could you restate the motion, please, just so we're all clear?
Rebecca motion to go with a Florida Cool Today for the York Commercial Option A, 14.5 SEER, energy efficient, 10-year parts, 10-year compressor, 1-year labor and installation for $11,683. And seconded by April. And then it was added on for the service and maintenance agreement for $1,154 per year to service all 6 units twice a year.
Does that include tax?
Yes, it's maintenance, so there's no tax on that.
All right, any other comments or questions or discussions?
No,
I have one question. How long has Florida Cool Today been in business? I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Out of Sarasota, Florida since 1963. Cool Today has been providing quality services to homes. They have 3,000 reviews on Google. All right. All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
That's good. Any opposed? All right, sounds like none opposed. Patty, motion carries. Thank you for your work.
Absolutely. Thank you. Next on the agenda, the fun stuff.
The trees, right?
Yes, the palm trees at the pool. Was there anybody able to go and take a look at the palm trees?
I've been at the pool. I didn't notice anything.
You had to look all the way straight up.
Yeah, they look up.
Yeah, and I didn't even notice it. It was actually, it came I don't even know. The landscaper was out and, we were talking about doing some tree, because we did the plantings over there. And if for some reason he looked across the pool, from the front of the pool, standing by the bathroom, looked straight across, and you can see the whole top crown of this one tree, literally on an angle. And so he's like, why don't we have these checked out? So even though Sunrise is our landscaper, he knows that we don't use him as our arborist. We use Haley, and we've used her for the last couple of years. And um, so I called her, she came out, and you can see some of the pictures. It's this one, that's the actual worst one right here. If you can see the picture. So it's actually dangerous. It's getting more dangerous by the day as the weather is getting worse. So
From like a liability perspective.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Patty, I didn't see in there where we would replace the trees. Are we getting a second or separate quote for the replacement of the trees?
Yes, so that's where it gets a little sticky. So we had the arborist Haley come out, and she says that this is Vercillium wilt, which is actually would affect the soil, so we couldn't put the trees back in. We can't put palm trees back in. So as far as I'm concerned, those two locations near the pool need palm trees. We can't put something else there. We can't put anything but a palm tree,
Mm.
if we want another tree there. So she was back and forth. She was like, well, you can wait 2 years, you can put a pot, and then in the interim, like the email that I sent today, we were having the bushes and the plants put in throughout the pool. And I asked the landscaper, I said, Tom, just make sure that, when she's trimming these trees, we don't have to worry about, it affecting the new plants. So he brought his chemical guy, because I can't say ergonomist or whatever he is. He's the chemical specialist. And he came out and he does not agree that it's the Facilium wilt. So if it's not the Facilium wilt, then we can get palms and put them in there. If not, we're going to have to come up with something else. So at this point, I do have prices coming for a fan. Was it a fan palms? Hoping that we can put them back in there directly in the ground. If not, we're gonna have to figure something else out, and I'll have that ready for the next board meeting at the end of the month.
Okay, great. Because I'm sure people will ask, like, just like this dirt patch there, we would need to put something there.
Yes. So
We are not what the CDD did and ripped down a beautiful palm tree and then put like something.
that little rinky dink.
Yep.
Yeah, don't do
Let's
that.
not revisit the past.
We-
I was mad
so,
with that one too.
so Patty, so we gotta tear these trees down in order to figure out what's wrong with them.
Yes.
It's either bugs or it's soil disease.
Yes. So is it one of two kind of bugs, but if the bugs got into the soil with the Facilium wilt, then we cannot replant palms 2 years.
So I happen to have this really great team of soil specialists who do all kinds of testing. I'm happy to ask them about this one too.
Good.
Yeah, and I just found out today their turnaround time is about a week, so it
Okay.
doesn't take that long.
Right.
But just putting it out there, like if we're having two different arborists kind of back and forth at it,
Right.
we can send pictures and we can send to our U of F team, and then we can also ask for the soil samples too. So
Right.
something to keep in your mind, and we can kind of use that as an alternative moving forward.
Yeah, because if it does turn out to be the Facilium wilt, then we're okay. Well, we can't replant the trees. We can't replant palms right away. But if it's not, so we may have to do the soil sample. So that would work perfectly. Yeah, send it
But
out.
you're going to be best friends with those people by the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm not accustomed to hearing it being insect related, but that's the first time I'm hearing it, especially growing up in the Caribbean and now Florida. I've not heard of a bug causing a but that's just me.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, and that's what Haley said too. But then, it's the weevil. I keep calling it the weevil, like weevils.
boll weevil.
So, I mean, Wednesday we're gonna cut it down and then cut it open to see exactly what it is from there. So anyone that's around 9 o'clock on Wednesday, join us at the pool.
Yeah, I don't know how to
It's
become a
work.
horticultural girl. I can't keep stuff alive to save my life, but
Down
happy to
the road.
hook everybody up.
So Patty, what are we voting on here?
Removing the 4 to 6 palms and stump grinding for Wednesday. That we have to do.
And the cost on that was 4,200, right?
Yes.
42 something.
42 even.
Okay.
So this is recommended by Progressive Tree Care.
Yes. And these are the ones that are dangerous.
And that's 5, you said, Patty, or 4, or
Between 4 and 6. So
4
if we
and
can get
6.
away, yeah, so if we can get away with just doing the 4, if it goes back to the Facilian wilt, then we need to take the other one down.
Yep.
There's 5 that are, there are 4 that are really bad, 1 that's going, and the 6th one, it'll get it if we don't take it down anyway.
Patty, I'm just wondering if we should send some sort of communication out to the community to let them know that we're, that these trees are going to be going down.
Mhm.
There's some, disease that we are, concerned about spreading. We're not going to be able to, replant these so that people aren't, barking about the trees being missing and not being replaced, so that they, we're giving them an understanding of why.
Right,
We might be able to plant them. We just have to hear back from the outreach office.
exactly. And the thing is, we're gonna have to close the pool when they're doing it, because they're gonna trim all the rest of the palms there, and they're gonna hand trim them, so they're gonna be climbing up, literally cutting each branch and checking to make sure that they're not infected.
And that was Progressive.
Yes,
Okay. That's the 4,200.
exactly.
Okay.
What are you thinking, Mark?
Yeah.
In my opinion, kind of leading up to, it's almost pool season, like that's a, do we know, maybe I missed it because I'm here, I'm just typing on the side with the notes. So was there a timeline for completion on that?
Next Wednesday.
So 1 day?
One day, possibly 2, depending on how much they have to trim the other trees after they take those trees down.
I mean, I don't think that's terrible just off the bat. Like, I mean, 2 days without pool service is better than 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So
Exactly.
I don't think we have a choice for liability reasons.
that's the
The
thing.
tree will fall on somebody's head and hurt somebody, and that will get us in trouble. So we have to do it.
Mhm. And if we do it in the middle of.
And
pool,
it's
it won't be as bad.
midweek, so the volume of people at the pool with kids in school, it's probably going to be very low, I imagine.
Right.
Hey Patty, the company that's recommended that we remove 4 to 6 trees, they don't also sell trees, do they?
No, they do not.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Mhm. Nope.
They're
See,
like,
my-
hey, we have 6 trees, and oh, by the way, we can sell you 6 trees.
Nope. Not at all.
All right. So then, Patty, the motion is to remove 4 to 6 diseased palms, including stump grinding, for a price of $4,200 on Wednesday.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
Wednesday, 9 a.m., huh?
Wednesday at 9 a.m.
I want to come see these weevils. I was doing some research online and I saw there are these bugs called weevils, and they lay in the crown of the palm tree, but they lay their larvae. And why the palms collapse is because the larvae eats the tree from the inside out.
Right.
So
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
yeah, so by the time you see the palms falling, it's already too late. The tree is already basically, it's doomed. Dead tree walking.
You're welcome.
Can't they pick on the weeds?
Please, I'd be so happy.
I'm just, because I'm seeing how certain things maybe have been done in the past, is it worth just not just from a Facebook perspective, but like a laminated kind of sign that maybe on Monday on the pool gates to say, just a FYI, pool will be closed Wednesday and Thursday?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I could post it. Absolutely.
Because I know there's some avid swimmers that do in the morning. I was one of those, and I've been lazy, but they go first thing in the morning, so they need to plan accordingly to maybe use another facility if it's that important to them. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Well-
Let's get those signs out there tomorrow if we can, Patty, just with the dates on there saying the pool will be closed next, what, Wednesday, Thursday?
Wednesday, Thursday, yeah.
It gives people plenty of time to plan.
Now, leading into that, with the other gentleman, the information I sent you this afternoon. Do we want to have the other palms sprayed? If it is not the Vasilium wilt, and it's either bud rot or weevils, we need to spray the other trees, the other palms that are those.
So is it a spray? Is it an injectable? Because what I saw online was in order to defend against these weevils, you have to use an injectable.
And this is actually, it's a spray. They actually go, it's an oil-based spray that they go and they spray, so this way it stays on.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
Do we want to get feedback from the UF outreach office before we do that?
I
Well,
don't know.
they said they
Go
said they
ahead.
should be able to confirm the weevils, right? I mean, they'll be able to cut the crown open. You'll see the bugs if they're there.
Right. Either they're gonna
And-
be beetles or we're gonna see worms, and that's how we're gonna know the difference of what it is.
So we should be able to confirm once the trees are down or in that process if
Mhm.
spraying is necessary.
Mhm.
Is that true?
Yes, exactly.
Patty,
that's
does it, does it matter if we spray the trees? I guess not, but it wouldn't matter if we sprayed the trees. I'm just thinking about, when they're spraying or when they're cutting things down and, stuff is flying all over the place. Should we be considering spraying these beforehand, or do we not, because we don't know what it's really caused from? We should wait.
Yeah, we should probably wait. I mean, we can do it in case, as a precautionary thing, but then we have to do it quarterly. So
Mhm.
at the point, if we don't need it, I don't think we should do it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the quote does say that they're going to try to do disease spreading mitigation efforts while they're cutting down too. So they're cognizant of making sure that it, whatever it is doesn't get hopefully the other trees if they can help it.
Exactly.
We cut it, once they're down and we see if it makes sense to, if it makes sense to spray it, we have a meeting at the end of the month. We can always approve that if we need to.
The only thing with that, then we have to close the pool for another 2 days. So this is a totally different company, so that's why I'm trying to get them lined up together. And he's
Mhm.
actually gonna be there Wednesday at 9 to see exactly what it is when we cut it open. So that's why I was trying to come, have it all taken care of at the same time. If we need it
Can we,
done,
can we do it a motion that says if X, then Z, and
exactly,
then if not X, then no Z, right?
yes.
Is that possible?
Will,
Yes,
will the spray people show up and not charge us if they don't have to spray?
yes.
Okay, yeah, then what April said, let's do that.
Without the Z and on the Z and the Z and the Y. Okay, so April's making a motion. Motion to spray, and I'll put all those fancy words in there. From proposal MS pool area treatment 2024. In the amount of $2,470. If weevils or budroot is found. Sound good?
Yes.
Second,
Was that John?
that was Jason.
Jason? Thank you, Jason.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? None opposed. Carries. That's a good one. I like that. And Patty, if there's no weevils, you make sure I'm in this. I don't know who included this from the University of Florida, this Vasilium wilt of palm trees in our packet, but there's some great information in here.
Mhm. I looked-
Specifically about cleaning the tools before they move on to pruning the other trees. You mentioned that they clean the other trees. So if this is back to fungus, then they need to clean their tools with alcohol before they go and infect the rest of the trees.
Yes, so that's why they're gonna
Okay.
actually hand cut because they're literally going and they have to bleach each time when they switch.
Got it.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Next, we are on to the appeal for the ARC. Everybody, go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead, Mark. All right. So let's see. What we have here is the long story short. The ARC rules prohibit tents or trailers or vans or shacks or tree houses or any other structure in the backyards of people's homes or on the front, anything like that. We have a resident in Westlake that erected one of these. Another resident complained about it, said they could see it from their backyard, and it went to the ARC committee. The ARC committee denied it. The resident is protesting, saying that his neighbors cannot see it, and based on new Florida law, we cannot deny it. Did I pretty much sum that up right, Patty?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So the motion, so there could be, there's two ways to go with this motion, right? There's one way. The motion would be to uphold the ARC committee's ruling of denying the shed. The other motion would be to allow the shed. Patty, what's your advice on this one, based on the Florida statute?
That we really don't have a choice. We have to allow it as long as it's not seen from any other property.
From the
Yeah,
street?
wouldn't that street values, like street level, not like you're on a ladder trying to poke in?
Yes, exactly.
Right. I
So
think we discussed that a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
I think-
So-
Well, it was a two-part. It was number one, you can't see it from the front of the house.
Mhm.
And then number two was it's not visible by any other parcel.
right.
So I believe it was a two-part.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, that was the over in, that was Westlake too. And they wanted to put in a fire pit and something else. So this is just another one. So that one will be actually different because that's not in the ground. But with this one and any future ones that we'll have, I suggest that the board just has stipulations. It cannot be seen in any way, shape, or form. It has to match the color of the house. It has to have the roof pitch that they can't have an actual shed, but they can have it where it looks like it's part of the house. And if they move, it gets run down or anything like that, it gets removed. So we just put rules on top of the rules that Florida statute has given us.
We just say must satisfy the Florida statute and give ourselves some wiggle room, or
I'm sorry?
can we just say that it, unless permitted by the Florida statute, and kind of leave ourselves some wiggle room there?
Mhm.
Yes.
Just to follow the statute instead of writing our own rules on top of them.
But the statute is pretty vague. Where it just says they have to have it and you just can't see it from another lot.
Well, but I think by putting things on there like it's got to be the same color of the house and it's got to be this and it's got to be that, we may be restricting it. We could say no to something that technically per the Florida law is legal. So that's my fear, is that if we do too much, we could put ourselves in jeopardy. If we're looking at, okay, we'll follow the Florida law, but now we're going to make it so damn hard that you can't actually do it. I'm not sure that that's going to go over well, but open to discussion.
Yeah. But that is my suggestion, even though he was right on, but that is my suggestion to do.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the pictures of this shed. I obviously have not been into the person's backyard to look at this, nor the neighbor's backyard. I'm looking at the picture the owner sent us of his own shed.
Mhm.
Uh,
And to be honest, he did remove it.
he removed it.
He removed it because he didn't want to be in violation of the
Mhm, mhm.
safety guidelines and the violation.
Yeah,
I
it looks
think
like
his,
it's a plastic erectable shed.
Mhm.
From these photos, to my eyes, it like the vegetation and the vegetative shielding has not grown in sufficiently enough to shield it from neighbor parcels. Just if we're going with this Florida, That's what I'm saying.
But oftentimes the art committee will approve stuff like when I put in my pool, I had to have a gas heater put in. They didn't say grow the vegetation first, and then you can put the heater in, and then you can put your pool in. They said, okay, draw the plans that include the vegetation that will meet criteria once they grow in, and we will approve it. So,
Very
just
good point.
trying to be,
Yeah.
want to make sure we
Definitely.
don't come across as trying to make this harder than anything else we do in the neighborhood, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the shed to me doesn't look that bad. It's already kind of the color of the house.
Right.
They're not trying to make it like a bright pink and piss people off.
Exactly. And it's
I
more
mean-
to set the precedent, because once we, I
Right.
mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can't have them, but, if we agree that, it has to be, there has to be certain things that have to be met in addition to the Florida law. I think is going to be your best bet.
I think the other argument that was in the report was that, he removed the shed, or they removed the shed, I should say, and there were other homes that had sheds that didn't have to remove theirs. So I think he's feeling singled out. So I definitely think that if there's any concern with allowing this shed, that we probably need to look at the other sheds in the neighborhood, and address that.
And those people were also sent violation letters. So there were 3 total in Westlake that were sent letters. And one totally ignored us. One, I believe, submitted an application. But Jen knows better about the applications than I do. I just get the pushback after they're not happy.
I would agree with April that, the shed itself it's in good condition. It matches the house. It's not an eyesore necessarily. And hopefully, I think the vegetation growing in should be part of the stipulation. It does need to cover from the street so that it's not visible from the street, which I can't really tell from this picture, or from the pictures, if it would be visible from the street, because the house is kind of at an angle on a circle. But
It's not visible from the street, but it was the neighbor that complained.
backyard.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if it's a neighbor and that's a problem, then that's an issue.
Yeah. But to me, it looks like, yes, the vegetation should grow in. It looks like he has some hedges planted there. I don't know if they're going to grow to 6 feet tall to cover that shed, but maybe.
Is there
Yeah.
any stipulations of or restrictions of having lattice fence around that with like some like vines growing up the side so it's covered, or is that not an option?
Lattice is not currently approved, I believe, in the neighborhood.
Okay.
So Patty, or I guess, to the board, I think probably the 2 concerns that I would have is just that the vegetation isn't really covering the shed properly. So I think the shed is probably okay as long as they put proper shrubbery that would, shield it from the neighbor and shield it from the street.
That is an excellent motion, Rebecca, and I think that we can make the motion on that. The motion I would make would be to approve, because it's been removed, right? They took it down. So the installation of the shed can be approved as long as proper vegetation is installed to shield it from the neighboring parcel's view.
In the street.
Does that?
I think you said it couldn't be seen from the street, so.
Yeah.
And that's 5908 hidden.
Yes.
So, because that would go for everything, anything that anybody puts in their backyard. You put according to the new Florida statute, you can put a boat in your backyard as long as your neighbors can't see it.
After I get rid of my RV, thanks.
Patty, can you put that motion back, please?
Motion to install proper vegetation to cover any structures. Let's put any structures sorry, I'm writing this as I write, to avoid
To cover external shed visible from street, maybe?
Well, it can't be from the street. And that's part of the Florida law. It cannot be seen from the street. So if it's
Right.
behind the house and not a parcel. So we're covered on that. So this is just the add-on. So motion to install proper vegetation to prevent neighboring.
That there's vegetation installed to, prevent visibility from
blocks-
neighboring
yeah.
parcels and the street.
Right.
Period.
Patty, I think they use
Make sure she's not
landscape
using that.
border. I think they use landscape border is in ARC is what they've kind of used before. I don't know if that would be what you want to say.
No. I'm on the phone.
It's just
What do you
landscape.
think?
Okay.
Landscape border, so this way it would include. But then my only concern with that they would bring, so they would have it along the sides of the shed and then bring it out further. So if you have a 6-foot deep shed and they bring out additional border, so it's another 4 feet in trees, then you have 10 feet of trees, of bushes or landscape border.
I think it's 6 foot wide, not 6 foot deep.
Right, but I'm saying if
Okay.
somebody, for the next one, because once we do this, it's gonna open up the
Right.
door. for some-
Well, I think maybe another way to approach this is if we're going to add it in, we need to say, this isn't just a go do as you wish. Every
Mhm.
new structure would need to still be approved through the ARC to make
Right.
sure it meets intent. With the ARC, they have to have drawings, they have to label all the plants, la, 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 la. So the guy doesn't get to go put his shed back up, neither do the other 3 or 2 houses. They
Mhm.
all have to put in a request, as we should do it the right way, document everything, and then the ARC can approve it or the committee can approve it if you go about it the right way. Just throwing a shed up and say, hey, it meets Florida law.
Right, that's
got
not
it.
okay, right.
Right. So I think by saying that gives the committee the leeway to start making us, making judgment calls based on what their plan is. Does that make sense?
I think it does.
Yep.
Because that way we're not in here trying to like nut and bolt each one of these. It's
Right.
let the ARC committee do their job. So long as we let them know that, new requirements by Florida law allow this, and they just have to make sure it meets the intent of the law. And then we trust their judgment to, make those judgment calls.
All right, Patty, I got your motion here.
Okay,
I will make a motion to approve the installation of the shed with the condition that appropriate vegetative shielding is installed to prevent viewing from neighboring parcels and the street. Would anyone like to second that motion? Any additional comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, hold on. Oh,
Sorry.
I didn't realize I was on mute. I still think it needs to go through the normal approval process. It never did.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? It was just put up and then they got a letter. They never put in a submission saying, hey, we want to put up this shed. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah,
right.
it needs
so I
to
think
go
it-
the appropriate
Right.
approval process.
It goes through the appropriate approval process. The ARC will be updated with the current Florida legislature, and then the ARC will make the decision. Done.
Perfect, because I did send this back originally to the ARC when we got this, and they said we do as the board instructs us to do.
So do we
Absolutely.
need to
This will be
update
the board's instruction.
based on what we just said?
Mhm. I'm sorry, Jason, I didn't hear.
Do we need to update the architectural standards document then to reflect this motion?
No, because it's Florida statute.
To be clear, the homeowners are saying they did apply for an ARC approval and they were,
Mhm.
They applied after the fact.
they applied on December 7th. The shed was,
Okay. They
they
didn't
had,
just respond to the.
so they got a violation. They submitted for ARC approval. At the same time, they took the shed down.
Mhm.
So the ARC still denied it. So then when the ARC denies something, it comes to the board for a decision. So
Thank
now
you.
work the ARC's
Gotcha.
deny it, or we overturn the ARC's decision in light of Florida law and with stipulations. So in order to overturn it, we add those stipulations. Now
Yes.
this precedent going forward, kind of like case law for anyone else that wants to do things in their backyard.
Right.
Thanks, Mark. Sorry for the confusion.
No problem. Thank you for asking. So we got the motion and we got the second. Now, any other comments before we vote? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Motion carried. I hope they enjoy their new shed
After they put the vegetation in.
after they put the. Yeah, podocarpus is really good for that too. By the way, it grows in really thick.
And good.
All right, that's everything on the agenda. Patty, do you have any saved rounds?
No.
All right. Any other board members with any comments before we go to community comments?
Just one thing, I've gotten, someone approached me with just a suggestion, but I think it's something for the CDD. The roundabout near Barrington Stowers and Village Center Drive, the shrubbery that's been growing around it. It was suggested that if we can keep that trimmed a little bit lower for safety purposes as you're driving around, because you're not seeing the next spot ahead if there's pedestrians crossing the sidewalk.
Okay.
That was a suggestion by a couple of people when I'm outside picking up my daughter from school. So,
Is that in the?
yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, we can reach out to the CDD. That's theirs, but we can reach out to them. And
yeah, I figured as much, but I just wanted to bring that up as something to, it's,
Yeah.
you know, somewhat of a safety concern, which I get. So,
Absolutely.
Um,
Any other?
I have
Yeah.
an update if you guys want to hear about the pricing for soil testing. We can I can educate everybody and then we can make some motions during the next meeting if you guys would like. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
So I reached out to Gainesville, the extension office there. They're the ones who do the more extensive soil sampling and soil testing. So there's actually different labs for different things. So they have a lab for soil nutrient testing, which was just checking like the pH and the nutrients in the soil. They also have a plant diagnostic lab, and this is where we would confirm whether or it could be sugarcane virus, which is another one, and a couple other things. So I have sent forward pictures to the labs so they can help us possibly narrow the, what it could be. But overall, we can do the lab samples ourselves. There's some good, there's some good instructions from them on exactly how to take it so that they can get a good test completed. The nutrient tests cost $10 per sample. Samples are only for the area that is diseased. So it's not like you're taking 3 samples in one area and each one is a sample. So it's for every trouble area that we have would be 1 sample, if that makes sense. So $10 for nutrient testing, if we want to do that on top of anything else. And then for the plant diagnostic one, you can get a full fungal review of the soil for $40 per sample, again, per trouble area. So I think we have about 5, if I'm right, Patty, plus the new guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there's also what's called a rapid test. That test will be back within 48 hours. It does a full fungal and it does the sugarcane virus all together. That's $75. So it looks like most of these tests are relatively reasonable when it comes to cost. And but they're going to take a look at our pictures now and give us an idea of if they could kind of narrow it down for us, like, oh, this is sugarcane, or oh, this is this fungus issue, to help us kind of figure out how to move forward. But overall, I was really happy with the cost. I was also happy with the timeline as far as how quickly they can turn that around for us.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, we don't have to do 3 samples per section or per lawn and pay for each sample. So overall, that's what I have for that update. And I did talk with, when it comes down to the lawns where we've had to do repeat issues over and over again, they said it's not a bad idea to do the fungal, testing, but then also to probably throw in a nutrient test too, just because go ahead. Yeah. Just because after so many, roundups and other issues, before each of those sod replacements were done, who knows what the kind of impact on the soil has been over time. So those are my updates right now. I think that all sounds reasonable, and thank God the turnaround's not too long. So I'll put that all together. You guys are copied on an email that I have for the plant diagnostic, where they're going to look at the pictures we have to see what they can do or deduce from just the pictures. But otherwise, we can start putting together the information for the next meeting, and then making sure we have something that we can vote on for next round.
Is there a good time of year that they prefer getting samples, or just anytime?
No, because they said fungus is always in the ground. It may only pop up during certain times of year, but the spores are always there, so it'll always be found.
Okay. So
they
they'll
said
be able-
sugarcane virus is new and becoming more of an issue in Florida. And so they've had to develop, like I said, a new kind of test for that virus. But no, there's no restrictions for timing as far as that goes. They did request if we're going to send in several samples at one time, just to give them a heads up so they can make sure that they're prepared to do that 5 to 7 day turnaround, so they can, follow through with what they say that they can do for you guys. So any other questions?
Nope, that's great info.
Yeah, thanks for doing that research, April.
And I do have one more. So if they find a virus, do they give us a suggestion on the best way to fix it?
So yes, the whole point of identifying the virus is so they can help identify for us what the right way forward is to address either the virus or the fungus, whichever it is. They don't actually do the service, right? They're just there for data, but that will help us hire the right people with the right solution so that we don't have to keep doing this over and over again.
Okay, so we'll get the information back so we know exactly what we need to do in order to make the repairs. Okay.
Absolutely. And then once this is done, I would love to go through, take their, Florida guidebooks and make sure that, the plants that we require, follow in those guidebooks and back and forth, and then also start creating a pretty good hub of resident information, because all these accesses or all this information is free, and they do all kinds of information sessions through Zoom. And so happy to get this information out to homeowners like myself, who it's all on me to take care of my lawn and take care of all these issues if they crop up in my lawn.
Right.
So the more information we can get out to the rest of the community, I think the better.
I think so too. I think it's a great idea.
Yep. Yeah, that's really good info.
Sounds good. Do we have any homeowners that want to chime in?
Resident comments?
Resident comments. Jen, do we have anybody raising their hands or anything?
There's just one resident on, and I guess they don't have anything to say, so
No.
we can.
Oh, we got the.
You got a
Good to
symbol.
All right. It's 6:50 p.m. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful. Everyone have a great your service.
Oh, Mark, are we going to stay on to talk about OA or board member just ROEs? We talk about.
At this point, we have to do that another time.
Yeah, we just, so if we're all going to stay on, we have to be in an active session. If everyone's on, it has to be an active meeting. So we can.
Not on the agenda. We're only supposed to talk about things that are on the agenda anyway.
But we can.
This isn't like board community issues. This is like us as a board and how we chalk up some of the duties and responsibilities, but it doesn't have to be tonight. But I do think it'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, for sure.
April, you and I get together on that before the next meeting, and then we'll figure out how to put it in, so this way we can make it part of the board packet next month, or the end of this month.
Okay, and I don't mind putting it kind of at the end of a board meeting after people's comments, and that way, if they want to sign off, they can sign off and they don't have to listen.
Exactly.
If they don't want to stay on, they don't have to. Absolutely.
Yeah, all right, you and I will talk
Thanks.
about that, and then we'll figure it out and go from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Awesome.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Thanks, everyone.